Namaskar to all, distinguished gathering. Let me start with a sloka from the ancient times. They asked me for a subject, and I said that I would like to speak on Bhagavad Gita and leadership for the 21st century. So now you might wonder if it's relevant. Gita is so old, and we have the 21st century, and where does leadership come into the picture? Anyway, I'm going to start with a lovely sloka from the Vedas, which is always chanted before one begins anything. Sorry about the chits. I always speak extempore. Only time I took a small bit to note down was last month when I was asked to address the House of Lords in London, and now in this August gathering, little nervous. So, the sloka is like this: Sahana vavatu, sahano bhunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahai, tejasvina vaditamastu ma vidvishavahai, om shanti shanti shanti. Which means, if you note, the most important word is saha, which means you and I. May both of us be protected. May you and I be nourished. May our energy increase, virya, vitality increase. May our spiritual energies increase, tejasvina vaditamastu. Ma vidvishavahai. Let us not quarrel with each other. Let's not fight with each other. Because all understanding is in the form of a dialogue. It's not a monologue. And this is also the reason why I thought I would take up the Gita. Now, the Bhagavad Gita, one might say, is 1,000 years old or 800 years old. The chronology, the calculations differ due to various people's opinions. Anyway, it's ancient. Okay, agreed. But I would say that it is very relevant because I think it's the scripture of mankind. It's not for one period of time. It's an eternal message. And as far as leadership is concerned, I would say that the very fact that the Bhagavad Gita was enacted in the middle of a battlefield of Kurukshetra, where the first chapter is Arjuna Vishada Yoga, the dissatisfaction or indecisiveness of Arjuna, shows that it's not just merely a scripture for the persons who sit in the cave and meditate, but it's for daily living. And in daily living, leadership plays a very important role. I think you understand what I'm trying to say. So, it's a scripture because when it starts, Arjuna puts down his bow and says, Nayotse tatho yuddhaya. I am not going to fight this battle. Now, this is a battle that we all face in life throughout. Politically, personally, individually, administratively, this battle of not knowing what to do. That we stand on a threshold and don't know how to move forward is something that we fight every day. Therefore, I say that even in the 21st century leadership, which this conclave is all about, it's a very important part of our ancient wisdom, because this country, this India we have, is firmly rooted in the essence of our traditions and ancient wisdom. So, I think it is very relevant. See here that Krishna is tutoring Arjuna to become a perfect leader. He says, what has happened to you? Till now I thought you are a great strong leader. Today you are shaky, you don't know how to proceed. Proceed, because the only way in life is through unselfish karma. Action for the sake of others, not for yourself. I think this is a very important aspect of leadership. A leader is not there for himself or herself. A leader is there for the public, for others. Not only in politics, but also, I know there are industrialists also here. Industries are not made for yourself. They are made for the industry as such, as a body. So, now I come to, is there a specific description of who is a good leader in the Gita? Well, there is not exactly who is a leader, but there is the question of who is the greatest of yogis, especially in the 12th chapter, which is called Bhakti Yoga. Now, when I say yogi, Gita itself, Krishna himself says, when he says yogi, it means a person not who sits in the cave and meditates 24 hours, but who's outside doing service to others and also improving his inner self. So it applies to everybody. It not only applies to who is the greatest of yogis, although context here, the word used is yogi. So in the 12th chapter, Arjuna asks Krishna, who according to you is the greatest of leaders, the greatest of yogis? Can you give me a definition? Is he one who wears this or wears that or worships this or worships that? Or is there something else? So Krishna says that's not the concern. The concern is what are the attributes of a leader. How would there be a great yogi? What are his attributes? And he beautifully states one or two things, which is, one, a leader should be samniyam indriya gramam, should be in control of his emotions. One who has control over his senses, over his emotions. Today we don't look at all this. We think a leader is somebody who's elected. A leader, according to the Gita, is someone who has his emotions under his control, perfect control, because he uses them when they are for good of others and keeps them in abeyance when he has to be silent. The other quality is sarvatra samabuddhaya. That, of course, when we look at the politics, I don't think we need to teach much about this, because sarvatra samabuddhaya means to be level, tranquil of mind in the midst of all circumstances. When you do something good, it's quite possible then one part of the media might say you're doing wrong. It's quite possible then another part of the social media might say you're doing right. A leader's job is to do the right thing and not get depressed by the negative comments or too elated by the flattery. This is very important in leadership. Otherwise, one falls and succumbs to all that the social media is weaving around us. So don't you think it's relevant today? Is it only relevant 1,000 years ago? Sarvatra samabuddhaya. Have you noticed even in daily life, if you need to work efficiently, you need to keep your minds tranquil in the midst of all circumstances. Don't get too elated. You know what happens when you're too elated? Blood pressure. And when you get too depressed, blood pressure. Can we keep it tranquil? At least let's have the understanding that one has to keep the mind tranquil. Then the third, which is so important for a leader, for a teacher, for a yogi, sarvatra samabuddhaya, sarvabhuta hiterata. One who has the concern of all living beings in his heart. One who is concerned about all who suffer and all who are in trouble and who wants to lift them up. Now, Swami Vivekananda was the first person, I think, for many years now, to have come out with a very clear-cut and wonderful interpretation of the Karma Yoga of Gita. He said, Atmano mokshartha jagat hitaya cha. Moksha for the Atma is all right, but hit, goodness for others, service to the Lord, service to mankind who you consider to be part of the Supreme Reality, is one of the most important steps. So not only moksha for yourself, but also jagat hitaya cha, welfare of the world. If these two things go together, Swamiji said, this is what spirituality actually is. He was the one who first exhorted the sannyasin to come out and serve the fellow beings. Especially, he said, the underprivileged are Daridra Narayana. Narayana in the form of Daridra, misery. Serve them. Not only do you serve humanity, you're a leader then. You also prepare yourself towards ultimate salvation spiritually. Now, I want to give you a few quotes from Swami Vivekananda, very small quotes. We have 10 more minutes, not to worry. And these quotes show him to be more of a socialist in a different way than all our socialists put together. I would call it Vedantic socialism, because Vedanta believes that every soul is potentially divine. And therefore, all are same. There is no difference between anybody. Swamiji said, one of his quotes, "Let new India arise in your place." This is quoting from Swami Vivekananda's Complete Works, Volume 7. "Let new India arise in your place. Let her arise out of the peasant's cottage, grasping the plough and the huts of the fishermen, the cobbler and the sweeper. Let her spring from the grocer's shop, from beside the oven of the fruit seller. Let her emanate from the factory, from the marts, from markets. Let her emerge from groves and forests, from hills and mountains. These common people have suffered oppression for thousands of years, suffered it without murmur. Can we bring them up? For if you train them," he said, "they, having suffered so much, have acquired infinite capacity to bear pains. They would make wonderful leaders." Now, so therefore, I think we should coin a new term called Vedantic socialism. Now, I'm not saying because I'm born in Kerala and I'm not a socialist. I'm neither right nor left. I'm more a spiritual person. Of course, when I say right, like the young journalist today said, I'm on the right side of things, I hope, not on the wrong side of things. So, then, on a personal note, I think that at present, please don't label me right, left. Under the present circumstance, I think a wonderful, dedicated person is working for upliftment of this country. I think so, personally. And on a personal note, 2 years ago, on the PM's birthday, his office requested me to write a few words along with greetings. The request came from his OSDs, so I decided to do it. Among other things, it was a season, that particular season, when Padma Shris were being returned in protest and journalists were giving up their awards and things were happening. I'm sure he wouldn't be depressed, I think he's tranquil. But I gave him a little bit of sweet support by saying, when the Samudra Manthan was done years ago, churning of the ocean, the first thing that came out was poison. So some poison is coming out. We wait patiently for the Amrita to come up. But that should not prevent anyone from churning, and anyone who is churning deserves complete support from us. Non-political, political, it doesn't matter. Human support is required. I still think so. Now, I have 5 more minutes. There is also part of the social media, I'm not saying all, keeps saying that he's a dictatorial person who has no concern. I beg to differ. I have my own personal opinions on this. I am nobody. I don't have to be respected. Nothing. And I'm not going to fight an election, please. First of all, I'm too old for that. And secondly, that's not my subject. That's not my profession. However, I need 2 minutes. My autobiography, the English version, was translated into Gujarati. It is called Autobiography. I forgot the name. What is it? Apprentice to a Himalayan Master, a Yogi's Autobiography, by Sri M. This or any Sri M. And when it was translated into Gujarati, the then Chief Minister of Gujarat, who happens to be the Prime Minister now, took a look at it from the publisher and himself said, I'm going to come and launch this Gujarati edition. He didn't know me from Adam. So I went there and met him. He introduced me to some senior officers. He couldn't come that day because that day was the day his name was being put up in Delhi and there were some problems happening. So evening he couldn't come. So can you step in the morning and have a cup of tea at home? I said, okay. So he went. I'm saying all this not to show my importance. I'm nobody. I'm just saying there are human sides to things which we tend to overlook. We went, we had a cup of tea. The Padayatra, we had a Padayatra that starts from Kanyakumari and went to Srinagar. We walked for 1 year and 4 months. So preparations were on for the Padayatra. And he came to know, I mean, his intelligence inputs are very good, I think. He came to know and he said to me, anything you want to do in Gujarat, I can give you a lot of help because I have expertise. Very in a fun, joking manner, I told him, probably when the walk goes through Gujarat, you will be sitting in Delhi. So anyway, so as soon as the walk entered Gujarat, I got a phone call from the Prime Minister early in the morning at tea time, saying, welcome to Gujarat. I said, but you're sitting in Delhi. So, and then when the walk entered Bangalore, already 4 months, and I was walking, I got a call saying that the Prime Minister is here for some BJP meeting or something, executive meeting. He would like to see you. So I went to the Raj Bhavan. The first thing he told me to take off your socks. I want to see how your heels are. I said, I'm perfectly all right. He said, Aap sachmuch theek hain kya? I said, perfectly theek hu. Do we miss the human side when you see people only in TV and media and listen to what people have opinions about? This is what I wanted to say. So, this is the leadership of the 21st century. I remember the Upanishadic call, Uttishta Jagrata Prapya Varanni Bodhat. Wake up and move. We have much to achieve in front. I think India is moving towards a much greater global presence, not just economically and politically, but also spiritually. There was a time when we had wonderful universities like Nalanda here. People from all over the globe used to come here to study. Now we go to Harvard. It's okay, good to go to Harvard. I'm not saying anything about that. But I envisage a time that once again, India will become the teacher of the world. I know it because I travel around the globe regularly. One day I'm here, one day I'm somewhere else. The trickle has started. And I think it's going to become a flood. It's going to become big. It's a matter of time. Now, I have to thank the India Foundation for inviting me to address this August assembly. Especially thank Sri Ram Madhav, though he is not here right now. And before I end, I would again like to quote the Gita, which says in the last chapter, which is Moksha Sannyasa Yoga, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishno, I think many of you know this, Yatra Partho Dhanurdhana, Tatra Shrir Vijaya Bhutir, Dhruva Nirtir Matir Mama, which means wherever there is Krishna, please don't think that the Krishna has to stand before you. The understanding of what Krishna is, the Lord of Yoga, and Arjuna wielding the bow, there is good fortune, victory, prosperity and sound policy, and I think this is where we are moving to. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.